Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Gochlarworks. Today, we are talking about tenses, a comprehensive guide for students and teachers. Tenses in English help us to talk about when things happen and how they unfold. We can put tenses into two groups to make it easier. Tenses based on time and tenses based on action. When we talk about time, we are referring to when things happen, either in the present or regularly. In essence, we define tenses based on time in three categories: present, past, and future. Now, when it comes to action, we define tenses in four ways: simple tense, also known as indefinite tense, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. We'll be diving into all of these in this video. We're going to cover all the rules in this video. Let's start by carefully exploring the present tense, which also has four types: simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, and present perfect continuous tense. Similarly, the past tense comes in four flavors: simple past tense, past continuous tense, past perfect tense, and past perfect continuous tense. And, of course, the future tense also has its four types: simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, and future perfect continuous tense. So, let's understand each of these in detail. First, we will talk about the simple present tense. In this tense, we use the first form of the verb, also known as V1 form. Additionally, we add s or es to the verb. Now, let's discuss when to use s or es. If your subject is singular, add s to the verb. For example, if the subject is he, we write rides. Never write he write, always write he rides. On the other hand, if your subject is plural, like they, don't add s to the verb. So, instead of plays, we write they play. The second thing to note is when we use the simple present tense. We use it for regular habits, actions that happen daily or regularly, universal facts, or scientific statements. Now, let's look at some examples. First is he writes a letter. Look at writes. This is the V1 form of the verb, so this is the simple present tense. Next is he drinks tea every morning. If you notice, drink is used without is. This is a regular action that happens daily in the morning, making it a simple present tense. Moving on to they play in the park. Here, plays the V1 form of the verb, making it a simple present tense. Finally, the sun rises in the east. This is a universal statement, and rises is the V1 form of the verb, indicating the simple present tense. Let's talk about the next tense, the present continuous tense. It is used when we want to talk about actions happening right now. The rule for using present continuous tense is to use is-am plus V1 form of the verb plus ing. If the subject is singular, use is. If the sentence starts with I, use am, and if the subject is plural, use are. Here are two simple examples. She is dancing. Right at this moment, she is actively dancing. I am eating lunch. Currently, I am in the process of eating my lunch. In both examples, the action is ongoing, and it's happening at the exact moment we are talking about. That's what the present continuous tense helps us express. Now, let's explore an interesting concept about the present perfect tense. To understand perfect, think about when something is considered perfect, when it's flawlessly done. In language, perfect means the action is complete. present perfect tense indicates that the action was just completed. If it's past perfect, the action was done in the past. For future perfect, the action will be complete in the future. In all perfect tenses, we always use the third form of the verb. For the present perfect tense, the action is done just now. The rule is to use has for singular subjects and have for plural subjects, followed by the third form of the verb. Here are two examples. Sentence: she has finished her homework. The completion of her homework is recent and has a connection to the present. Next is we have visited that museum. Our museum visit is now complete, and it has relevance to the present moment. The next tense we use is the present perfect continuous tense. Now, let's carefully understand the meaning of the present perfect continuous tense. An action in this tense started some time before, is continually happening, and we don't know when the action will finish. It means we know that the work started before, say, 2 hours, and we don't specify when it will finish. If we know the starting time of the action, and the action is continuously happening, then it's a present perfect continuous tense. The rule to use it is to use has or have, then been, followed by the V1 form with ing attached. For example, she has been studying for 3 hours. Here, we use has, been, study, plus ing. They have been working on the project since last month. When we see since, we use the present perfect continuous tense. This was yours present tense. Now we will talk about past tense. The very first tense is simple past tense, which means any action happened in the past. We don't know if it was continuous or when it started and finished. It's just something that occurred in the past. We use the V2 form of the verb, the second form of the verb, in simple past. Now, let's see some examples. She played the piano at the concert yesterday. In this sentence, the action, playing the piano, happened in the past, yesterday, and we use the second form of the verb played to indicate this. They visited the museum last weekend. Here, the action, visiting the museum, occurred in the past, last weekend, and we express it with the second form of the verb visited. Past continuous tense indicates that some action happened in the past, and we don't specify when it started. It was just ongoing in the past. Similar to the present continuous tense where we use is, am, or are, in the past continuous tense, we use was for singular subjects and were for plural subjects. We pair it with the base form of the verb plus ing. Now, let's look at a couple of examples. She was studying when the phone rang. In this sentence, the action of studying was happening in the past, and we use was with the base form of the verb study followed by ing. They were playing in the garden all afternoon. Here, the action of playing occurred in the past, and we use were with the base form of the verb play followed by ing. Continuing to the next, let's talk about the past perfect tense. Given your understanding of perfect tense, past perfect indicates that an action was completed in the past. Just as in the present perfect tense where we use has or have with the third form of the verb, in past perfect, we use had with both singular and plural subjects, followed by the third form of the verb. Now, let's look at a couple of examples. She had already finished her homework before her friends arrived. In this sentence, the action of finishing the homework was completed before another action in the past, her friends arriving. They had seen the movie before it was released in theaters. Here, the action of seeing the movie happened and was completed before a specific point in the past, the movie's release in theaters. Past perfect continuous tense is used to describe an action that had been ongoing for some time in the past, often emphasizing its duration before another event took place. This tense is formed by using had been followed by the base form of the verb with ing attached. Example: she had been working on the project for 2 hours before the meeting started. In this example, the action of working on the project was continuously happening in the past, and it had been ongoing for a specific duration, 2 hours, before another event, the meeting starting. They had been waiting at the airport for hours before the flight was finally announced. Here, the action, waiting at the airport, was continuous for an unspecified period in the past, and it had been happening before another event, the flight being announced. In both examples, past perfect continuous tense helps convey the idea that an action was in progress for some time before a specific point in the past. Let's discuss the future tense. Simple future tense is employed to talk about actions or events scheduled to happen in the future, commonly used for plans, predictions, or scheduled events. The rule is to use will or shall with the base form of the verb to express future actions or events. Specifically, we use will with the first person, second person, and third person. However, shall is exclusively used with the first person, meaning I and we. If you're ever unsure whether to use will or shall, it's safe to choose will. Examples: I will travel to Paris next month. In this sentence, the action, traveling to Paris, is planned to occur in the future. Will is used with the base form of the verb travel. Next is, they will start their new job on Monday. Here, the action, starting a new job, is scheduled to happen in the future, specifically on Monday. Will is again used with the base form of the verb start. In both examples, simple future tense helps convey actions that are anticipated or scheduled to occur at a later time. Let's chat about the future continuous tense. It's like having a peek into the future when something is happening continuously. You might not know exactly when it starts or stops, but you know it's going on. How to make it? Use will or shall with be and the base form of the verb plus ing. Examples: I will be playing video games tonight. Imagine, in the future, you're right in the middle of playing video games tonight. She will be baking a cake tomorrow. Picture this: tomorrow she's in the process of baking a delicious cake. So, the future continuous tense lets us look ahead and see actions happening in the future, kind of like watching a movie trailer of things that will be going on continuously. Now, let's dive into the future perfect tense. You already know that perfect tense means an action is done. In the case of the future perfect tense, it means the action will be completed in the future. So, when we talk about an action completing in the future, we are dealing with the future perfect tense. How to make it? Use will have or shall have and add have with the third form of the verb. Examples: I will have it in lunch by noon. This sentence tells us that before noon arrives, I will have already finished eating lunch. She will have read the book before the movie releases. Here, it means before the movie is released, she will have completed reading the book. The last tense on our list is the future perfect continuous tense. We don't use this tense very often in English, but it's still good to know about it. This tense is used in rare situations where we know the action will start in the future, continue for a while, but we don't know when it will finish. How to make it? Use will have been or shall have been with the base form of the verb plus ing. Examples: by next year, I will have been working here for a decade. This sentence means that by next year, the person will continuously have been working at the same place for 10 years. She will have been studying for 2 hours by the time you call. Here, it's like predicting that when you make the call, she will have been continuously studying for 2 hours. So, the future perfect continuous tense helps us describe actions that will be ongoing for a duration before a specific future event, even though we don't use it very often in everyday English.